Okay, now we get into a pen of 3 here as we get a little further into the preview, and we got 3 litter mates here, and these are the only 33 litter hogs that we're going to view here in this preview. We have 33-2, 33-3, and 33-5. So pedigree here is out of a boar called Branded at Crossroads, which would be the champion boar from the Southeast Regional or the Winter Type Conference there. 2 years ago, the Crossroads would have bought for $70,000, I believe, from High Point. Laird's would have bought a litter mate that they call Red Wire, I believe. So that's the top side of this this litter's pedigree, Branded, and then mom would be 76, so she would be a litter mate, or excuse me, a full sister to Set the Curve. She would have stood second in class to her litter mate sister at OIE 2 years ago when her litter mate sister was reserve Duroc. And this sow has been an extremely good producer. In fact, this is getting to be one of my favorite sows in the herd. This is her 3rd litter. Her 1st litter, she makes a boar that we sell Robbie Harkey in Texas that he calls Right Decision, and a couple litter mate Barras there that were extremely popular. Brandon Biggs' daughter, Bristol, showed one at their county that was reserve grand and gets a sales spot there at Houston. And the Pearson family showed another litter mate that got a sales spot there at Houston and had a successful show career. So that was her 1st litter. In her 2nd litter, I bred her to Pack a Lunch, and she makes the reserve barrel at Illinois there a couple weeks back. That's Champion Land of Lincoln for the Engelman family, and a couple other second-place Barras, and a keeper gilt, a class-winning gilt that's a keeper gilt. So I'll get off the pedigree wagon here for a minute and let Joe talk some pigs.
I think the pedigree wagon, good place to start here, and we were just talking about this set as we got them comfortable here in the picture pen. Brandon maybe being a little different there on the top side, but yet tremendous amount of confidence here in the bottom side of this one's pedigree, being a Set the Curve's litter mate sister, and a trio of them here, I think, that resemble each other in some ways, especially from a build and skeleton design. I think feet and legs and squareness, genuineness of build is all very good. The Dash 2 Bear, to me, a good designed one that's good in terms of his rib cage. Still one that's green and looks like he's got some future and growth to him from a maturity standpoint. One maybe not just as heavy-legged today as some of the other ones, but again, as you read his indicators, a stoutness in terms of his width of skull, his jawline, his tail root, I think all that's there for this bear as he continues to mature to go ahead and feed into a He-Man one. Again, good skeleton, good feeding type of a hog, what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I think he's one of those that can suffice anybody's feed bucket. His rib cage is good enough to roll a little slower if you want to, and the top of his blade is there as well. But his hind leg and his angles are built good enough to kind of get a little more aggressive if you want to. So I think just one of those hogs that doesn't really have a big glaring hole, just built very good. Built like an athlete, and just looks like one of those that's going to get better every day as you walk into the barn and watch the hog mature. So if Bryce will grab Dash 3 here, just like I've said with a few of these other ones, laying cards on the table, this is one of them. This would be in the top 5 of on my list for the set, the 33-3 hog here. A little more feature underneath of him than the Dash 2 hog, but man, this thing, just prop him up on a backdrop or on a picture pin, and just, you see it right there. This one suffices a lot of critics, in my opinion. I'm anxious to hear what Joe's got to say.
This is the kind of livestock to me that's just fun to feed. They're easy to picture because everything's just so right about them. Just squareness and look and build. His length of hip and the bend and flex to his rear leg, yet still stout, still mobile, still opened up. That's a very special bear that needs a lot of stars. I'll just leave it at that. I think that one's just look and presence from the profile and squareness. That he's going to grab a pin quick. He's got the kind of build and skeleton to go the duration. A good feeding type of a bear. I think that's going to respond very well to about anything you want to do with him. That's a special bear here. Needs a lot of stars, in my opinion.
Yeah, that one's not one that has to be managed that much because it doesn't matter what he weighs. He's just a good animal, in my opinion. So that one can fit a lot of feed buckets there. Again, I think a very, very good animal. Now if we go back to Dash 5 or go into Dash 5 here, he's the the more orangish colored hog, I guess, if you want to call him that. Here again, for you hair freaks, this one's hairy, hairy, hairy. I haven't clipped any of these things, and probably should have clipped some of their heads because they do have some hair up there on their forehead, and this one's got some down there in the base of his neck. But, I mean, this is a shaggy one. This one, in my opinion, versus the other two, is probably a little lower set to the surface, probably just a little boxier, and maybe even the densest one. Maybe a little skinnier behind today, but I think a very good trio. We'll let Joe yak on this one.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with what Brett said there. Again, one that's maybe to me reached just a bit more moderate in terms of his kind, but yet still one that offers a tremendous amount of power. I would agree that he's definitely maybe the heaviest legged one in this bunch. One that's really stout in terms of his skull, good in terms of his chest. That guy is, again, a little lighter colored. But, man, with the immense amount of hair that he's got, I don't think that'd be a problem getting him tanned up, getting his skin looking right. Again, one that's maybe got to feed into a little bit more going right away from you relative to the other two, but got the right kind of running gear, the right kind of rib cage, I think, to go ahead and respond to that. I see this being a very versatile feeding type of a bear. Again, one I think that's going to respond very well to the feed bucket you put in front of him.
Yeah, and as red hog enthusiasts and feeders, I mean, that's the kind of red hog hind leg you love to feed, because he wants to pull his hock together a little bit today and maybe not quite have as much down there in the lower portion in the seat of his pants. But boy, when that comes and that hock squares, and I mean, the flexibility and range and angles are all there, that just looks like one of those that's going to be real fun to feed for whoever grabs him there on Wednesday night. So I think a good trio, once again, branded on Set the Curve Sister.